Abram Petrovich Hannibal, also known as Abraham Hannibal, was an African-born military engineer, nobleman, and the great-grandfather of Russian writer Alexander Pushkin. Abram Petrovich Hannibal, also written as Gannibal, was one of the most extraordinary African figures in European history. He was born in Africa around the late 1600s, but his exact birthplace is still debated by historians. Some traditions connect him to Ethiopia or Eritrea, while other research points toward the Logone region of Central Africa. What is certain is that he was taken from Africa as a child, brought through Ottoman-controlled networks, and eventually arrived in Russia as a gift to Peter the Great. Instead of being erased by the empire that received him, Hannibal rose inside it. Peter the Great became his godfather, and Abram was educated in languages, mathematics, military science, and engineering. He was later sent to France for advanced study, where he trained in artillery and military engineering. He even served in the French army before returning to Russia. Hannibal's life was not a simple privilege. After Peter the Great died, he was exiled to Siberia during political struggles at court. But even there, his skill could not be ignored. He worked as an engineer, helped build fortifications, and eventually returned to imperial service. Under Empress Elizabeth, Peter's daughter, Hannibal regained favor, became a Russian nobleman, and rose to a high military rank. He eventually became a senior military engineer and general in the Russian Empire. His story also lives through literature. Abraham Hannibal was the great-grandfather of Alexander Pushkin, Russia's most celebrated poet, and one of the foundational figures of Russian literature. Pushkin was proud of his African ancestry and began writing an unfinished historical novel inspired by Hannibal's life, known in English as The Moor of Peter the Great. An African-born man taken from his homeland became a military engineer, nobleman, general, and ancestor of one of the greatest writers in Russian history. Abram Petrovich Hannibal's life shows that African presence in Europe was not marginal. Africans were in royal courts, military academies, engineering corps, noble families, and literary bloodlines. His journey moved from captivity to command, from exile to rank, from Africa to Russia, and from survival to legacy. Abram Petrovich Hannibal was an African-born military engineer, nobleman, and general in Imperial Russia. Taken from Africa as a child, he rose through education, discipline, and technical genius to become one of Peter the Great's most remarkable protégés and the great-grandfather of Alexander Pushkin. Abram Petrovich Hannibal/Gannibal, African-born engineer, Russian general, nobleman, great-grandfather of Alexander Pushkin. In closing, taken from Africa, tested by empire, and remembered through genius, Hannibal turned survival into legacy.